She saved everyone on board, until her call sign made F-22s break radio silence. From the moment she first stepped into a cockpit as a young cadet, she felt a connection with the sky that was unlike anything she had experienced before. The hum of the engines, the vibration of the aircraft as it lifted into the air, and the endless stretch of blue above her brought a sense of freedom and control that was unmatched. But more than freedom, Emily understood that every flight carried weight. The lives of the people on board, the mission objectives, and the trust placed in her by everyone who counted on her abilities. She had spent years honing her skills, from early training in basic flight maneuvers to advanced tactical exercises that tested both her mind and her reflexes. Every decision in the air was a test of judgment, every second mattered, and Emily was determined to be the pilot who could be relied upon no matter what. On this particular morning, the sun rose gently over the horizon, casting a golden glow across the runway. Emily walked toward her aircraft with a calm sense of purpose. The transport plane she would be flying was not as flashy as some fighter jets she had trained in, but it was dependable, and that mattered most today. Her mission seemed straightforward: transport personnel and important equipment to a nearby base. Nothing unusual, no combat, no expected danger. Yet Emily knew better than to underestimate any flight. Even the simplest missions could become complicated in an instant, and her training had taught her that preparation, patience, and attention to detail were as crucial as the ability to respond in emergencies. Her crew was already aboard the aircraft when she approached, performing routine checks and chatting quietly among themselves. Emily greeted each of them with a nod or a brief smile, her calm presence setting the tone for the flight. Among them was Lieutenant Mark Dawson, her co-pilot, whose steady hands and sharp mind complemented her own abilities. Mark had flown with Emily before, and they had developed an unspoken understanding, a teamwork that made the aircraft feel like an extension of their combined skill. The rest of the crew, experienced in their own roles, followed protocols with practiced efficiency. Passengers were boarding as well, unaware of the intricate coordination and checks that went into preparing the plane for takeoff. Emily climbed into the cockpit, settling into her seat with a mixture of confidence and focus. She ran through the pre-flight checklist mentally, confirming each system, each instrument, each gauge. She could feel the weight of responsibility pressing lightly on her shoulders, not as a burden, but as a reminder that she was in control of many lives today. Her eyes scanned the horizon through the cockpit windows, the air outside crisp and clear. Everything seemed perfect. The weather, the runway, the aircraft itself, and the crew all ready and prepared. A sense of calm determination filled her as she prepared to start the engines. As the engines roared to life, Emily felt a familiar surge of energy and focus. The vibrations beneath her feet, the deep hum of power through the aircraft's frame, and the sense of the plane coming alive under her command were exhilarating. She checked the communication system, confirming contact with air traffic control and reviewing the route for the flight. Routine at first glance, but for Emily, every routine procedure was vital. She communicated briefly with her crew, giving clear instructions and confirming their readiness. There was no tension in her voice, only clarity, precision, and reassurance. Passengers were settling into their seats, some talking quietly, others staring out the windows at the clear morning sky. Many were unaware of the meticulous preparation required to ensure a safe flight, but Emily did not let their ignorance reduce the seriousness of her duty. She knew that their safety depended entirely on her actions, her judgment, and her ability to remain composed even if unforeseen challenges arose. Flying was not just about physical control of an aircraft. It was about mental discipline, about predicting possibilities, about being ready for anything without losing control of oneself or the situation. The aircraft began taxiing along the runway, moving with steady precision toward the point of takeoff. Emily guided it forward, maintaining communication with the control tower, her hands steady on the controls, her mind alert to every detail. The co-pilot monitored instruments, confirming that the plane responded as expected, while the rest of the crew remained ready to follow her lead. The passengers, feeling the gentle vibrations of the engines and the subtle rise in anticipation, adjusted in their seats, unaware that soon they would witness the extraordinary level of skill and bravery Emily had cultivated over years of training. As the plane aligned with the runway, Emily ran one last series of mental checks. Engine performance was optimal, flaps and control surfaces responded perfectly, fuel levels were sufficient, and the flight path was clear. She felt a moment of connection with the machine, a partnership between human and technology built on precision, trust, and experience. This partnership was more than mechanical. It was emotional, a bond that allowed her to act instinctively while maintaining complete control. She knew that in the air, hesitation could be dangerous. Confidence and preparedness were the tools that allowed her to act decisively when needed, tools that had been sharpened through years of discipline, repeated exercises, and real-life experience. Finally, with a quiet but firm command, Emily advanced the throttles, feeling the plane respond with power and energy as it began to lift into the sky. The runway slipped beneath them, the engines hummed with controlled power, and the aircraft climbed steadily into the clear morning light. Passengers felt the gentle ascent, some gripping their armrests in excitement or nervousness, unaware that they were experiencing the calm and precise skill of a pilot who would soon face the unimaginable. Emily remained focused, her hands and eyes constantly monitoring instruments, her mind assessing every possible variable. The takeoff, smooth and controlled, was a reflection of her mastery and the trustworthiness of her training. As they reached cruising altitude, Emily guided the aircraft into a steady, level flight. The sun now fully illuminated the horizon, the sky stretching endlessly in shades of blue. From the cockpit, Emily could see the world below, the patchwork of fields, roads, and rivers, a reminder of both beauty and fragility. She briefly allowed herself a moment to appreciate it, a mental pause before the flight moved fully into routine operations. Yet even as she allowed that small reflection, her mind never left the responsibility she carried. She monitored systems, coordinated with the crew, and ensured that every detail, no matter how minor, was addressed. The crew worked efficiently, communicating through brief, precise phrases, their confidence reinforced by Emily's calm presence. Each member understood their role and followed procedures, yet the ultimate responsibility always rested with the captain. Emily knew that she was the anchor in a situation that could quickly turn chaotic if even one thing went wrong. She trusted her team completely, but she also knew that in critical moments, decisions would ultimately rest on her shoulders. During these moments, Emily's thoughts briefly drifted to her past experiences, the countless flights she had completed, the training exercises where simulations had tested her limits, and the real-life emergencies she had faced in smaller, less critical scenarios. Each experience had prepared her, not just technically but mentally and emotionally, to face challenges head-on. She had learned to remain calm, to act decisively, and to inspire confidence in those around her. Flying was as much about psychology as mechanics, as much about leadership as navigation, and Emily embodied both aspects with remarkable balance. As the flight continued, a sense of routine settled in. Passengers chatted quietly, some reading, others gazing out the windows. The crew followed procedures, conducting routine checks and ensuring that the aircraft remained on course. Emily maintained focus, aware that the calm of the moment was not a guarantee of safety, only a temporary pause before the unpredictable nature of life and air travel revealed itself. She adjusted course subtly, ensured fuel consumption was optimal, and checked whether patterns along the route. Every small action was part of a larger picture, a tapestry of preparation that could determine life or death. Even in this calm, Emily remained vigilant. She was a professional trained to anticipate and respond, and she understood that danger often arrived without warning. The aircraft systems hummed reliably, but she knew that technology could fail, that unexpected events could challenge even the most experienced pilot. And in her mind, she prepared for that possibility, not with fear but with readiness. She ran mental scenarios, rehearsing actions she would take if the unexpected occurred, ensuring that instinct and training were perfectly aligned. By the time the plane reached higher altitudes, the atmosphere in the cabin was relaxed. Yet in the cockpit, Emily remained alert, a silent guardian over everyone on board. She monitored instruments, observed the crew, and maintained communication with air traffic control, ensuring that every element of the flight operated smoothly. Her mind was a constant balance between calm observation and readiness for immediate action. Little did anyone know that this routine flight, so ordinary in appearance, would soon transform into a moment that tested Emily's skills, courage, and leadership in ways she had never imagined. The trust, training, and years of experience she had accumulated were about to be challenged. But in this moment, as the plane sailed through clear skies, Emily Carter exemplified the perfect combination of skill, preparation, and responsibility, the qualities of a pilot capable of facing any challenge while safeguarding the lives entrusted to her. And as the aircraft continued its journey, the stage was set for events that would not only reveal her extraordinary abilities, but would also etch her name into the memory of those she protected, showing the world that calm courage, precision, and leadership could save lives in ways no one could predict. The flight had started smoothly, and for a time everything seemed perfectly normal. Captain Emily Carter guided the aircraft with the same calm precision she had shown throughout her career, her eyes scanning instruments and her hands steady on the controls. Passengers were beginning to relax, some chatting quietly, others staring out the windows at the endless sky. The crew followed their routines, checking gauges, monitoring systems, and maintaining a sense of order that reassured everyone aboard. But in the air, nothing could ever be truly guaranteed. Emily had learned that over years of experience. The sky could shift suddenly, machines could fail unexpectedly, and emergencies could arise in moments when no one anticipated them. And it was exactly such a moment that was about to change everything. It began subtly. A low vibration ran through the cabin, faint at first, barely noticeable to the passengers. Emily's trained eyes flicked to the engine instruments, scanning for any anomalies. Everything appeared normal. She noted the vibration, but instinct told her it was minor, perhaps turbulence or a small mechanical quirk. She maintained steady control, monitoring the readings closely. Mark Dawson, her co-pilot, noticed it too and exchanged a quick glance with her, his expression calm but alert. They had trained for countless scenarios like this, and their teamwork allowed them to communicate almost silently, sharing understanding through gestures and eye contact. Then, almost without warning, a loud alarm blared through the cockpit. The vibration turned into violent shaking, the aircraft pitching slightly to the side. Red warning lights flashed, and Emily's heart, though steady, registered the seriousness of the situation immediately. One of the engines had failed catastrophically. She could see the readings dropping, the warnings signaling an emergency that demanded immediate attention. The smooth, routine flight had turned into a fight for control. Emily's voice, calm but authoritative, filled the cockpit and reached the cabin through the intercom. Everyone remain calm. This is an emergency. Follow crew instructions and stay seated with seat belts fastened. Her words were measured, designed to reassure passengers while also establishing that she was in control. Panic could spread quickly, but her tone was a lifeline, a reminder that even in the face of danger, there was a plan. The crew moved quickly, performing emergency protocols that had been drilled into them countless times. Emily coordinated each action, giving precise instructions while monitoring the aircraft's performance. Her hands moved across the controls with trained efficiency, adjusting power, stabilizing altitude, and keeping the plane level as best as possible. The passengers felt the turbulence, the vibration, and the subtle shifts in motion, but they also felt the calmness in Emily's voice, which became a beacon of hope amid fear. Emily's mind worked at lightning speed, considering every variable. Losing an engine was serious, but she knew the aircraft could still be controlled if handled correctly. She instructed Mark to monitor the remaining engine and adjust thrust to maintain stability. Every small decision mattered. Too much adjustment could destabilize the plane further. Too little could allow the descent to accelerate dangerously. Her mind calculated trajectories, altitudes, and the plane's center of gravity in real time, weighing risks and possibilities. As they fought to stabilize the aircraft, Emily realized that communication with air traffic control was limited. The standard radio frequencies were jammed due to emergency protocols, leaving her without direct external guidance. The isolation of the cockpit suddenly became more intense. She knew that without support, she would need to rely entirely on her training and her instincts. She considered their options carefully. Emergency landing sites were limited, and with the engine failing, the plane's altitude was slowly dropping. Every second counted. At that moment, Emily made a decision that would change everything. She reached for the microphone and broadcasted her call sign. It was not just any call. It was a highly classified identifier known only to elite military pilots and specialized air units. Normally, such call signs were used sparingly, under very controlled circumstances. But Emily understood that extraordinary situations required extraordinary measures. With a firm, clear voice, she transmitted the signal, hoping to reach anyone who could provide immediate assistance. Almost instantly, the skies responded. Within minutes, F-22 fighter jets, normally silent and unseen, scrambled into position. These jets were part of a rapid response unit, trained to act in emergencies where civilian aircraft faced imminent danger. The pilots broke radio silence, confirming their position and readiness to assist. Emily's quick thinking had triggered a rare and precise response, bringing elite support to a situation that could have spiraled out of control. With the fighter jets coordinating overhead, Emily had additional options. They provided guidance, suggested maneuvers, and helped monitor potential hazards ahead. She had never experienced such coordinated support during an emergency, and yet her training allowed her to integrate their input seamlessly into her decision-making. Her confidence grew slightly, not because the situation was easier, but because she now had allies who could act in real time to reduce risks. Despite this support, the challenge remained immense. The aircraft was unstable, responding unpredictably to control inputs. Emily focused on maintaining a level flight path, adjusting flaps, throttles, and rudder to counteract the effects of the failing engine. Every movement required precision, every choice demanded calculation. She instructed the crew to secure all loose items in the cabin, to calm passengers, and to prepare for potential emergency procedures on landing. Her leadership was visible not just in commands, but in her presence, calm, decisive, and reassuring. Passengers could feel the tension, though they could not see the full extent of the crisis. Children clutched their parents' hands, some people whispered prayers under their breath, and others simply stared at the cabin ceiling, unsure of what to do. Emily's voice cut through the fear, her words measured and confident, giving them a sense of control even when the plane itself felt uncertain. She reassured them continuously, explaining each step in a simple and calm manner. Mark, her co-pilot, remained a pillar of support. He adjusted controls precisely as Emily directed, read instrument data aloud, and helped maintain coordination with the fighter jets overhead. Their teamwork exemplified the training they had received over years, the silent understanding that allowed them to act as one unit. Emily knew she could rely on Mark implicitly, and that trust allowed her to focus on the larger decisions, the maneuvers that would ultimately determine whether they survived this ordeal. The minutes stretched long and tense. The aircraft continued its descent, gradually losing altitude despite their best efforts. Emily considered potential landing sites, calculating distances, obstacles, and terrain. She also monitored weather patterns, checking for wind gusts or sudden turbulence that could complicate an already dangerous situation. The F-22 pilots provided updates on surrounding air traffic, helping to ensure that no additional hazards interfered with the emergency maneuvers. Every second was critical, every decision carried weight, and Emily navigated the plane with an intensity born of necessity. As they approached a potential emergency landing area, Emily's mind raced through procedures she had rehearsed countless times. She envisioned each step, from touchdown to deceleration, ensuring that both crew and passengers were prepared. The plane was heavy, the descent rate still higher than ideal, but Emily remained composed. She instructed the crew to brace for impact and guided passengers on safety protocols, maintaining a calm demeanor that belied the tension in the cockpit. The role of the fighter jets remained crucial. They monitored other aircraft in the area, cleared paths for the descending transport plane, and provided live feedback on altitude and alignment. Their support allowed Emily to focus on control inputs, balancing speed and lift to stabilize the plane as it approached the ground. She had never faced an emergency quite like this, yet her combination of skill, experience, and composure allowed her to remain in command. Even amid the crisis, Emily demonstrated her deep awareness of the human factor. She continued speaking to passengers, explaining each maneuver in simple terms and offering reassurance. Panic could spread faster than any mechanical failure, and her words served as a calming anchor. She ensured that children remained close to their parents, that the elderly were seated securely, and that all crew members knew their roles. Leadership in moments like this was not just about flying. It was about maintaining order, providing clarity, and inspiring confidence under extreme pressure. The situation continued to evolve, but Emily's focus never wavered. She adjusted power settings, managed aircraft balance, and coordinated with the fighter jets. Every action was deliberate, every decision calculated. She was fully aware that one wrong move could have catastrophic consequences, yet her calm determination guided the plane and everyone on board closer to safety. As the aircraft descended closer to the emergency landing area, Emily prepared for the final approach. She instructed the crew to check all systems one last time and communicated continuously with the F-22 pilots, who provided real-time corrections and guidance. The plane was still unstable, and the margin for error was extremely small, but Emily's unwavering focus kept the situation under control. In those moments, the narrative of the flight became not just a story of mechanical failure, but of courage, leadership, and quick thinking. Emily Carter exemplified the qualities of a pilot who could transform a life-threatening situation into a coordinated effort of survival. Her ability to act decisively, communicate clearly, and integrate external support showcased the extraordinary level of skill required to save lives in a moment of crisis. Even as the aircraft descended toward the emergency site, Emily remained vigilant, ready to make last-minute adjustments. She kept passengers calm, coordinated with her crew, and integrated the fighter jet's guidance into every maneuver. Her mind balanced calculation and instinct, experience, and improvisation, all while keeping the lives of dozens of people at the forefront. The situation was tense, the stakes incredibly high, and yet Emily remained the calm center around which all efforts revolved. Her actions demonstrated that preparation, focus, and courage could turn a potentially catastrophic scenario into a coordinated effort for survival. And though the final moments of descent would test her abilities even further, she had already proven her capacity to face the unexpected, make split-second decisions, and lead with clarity under pressure. The aircraft shuddered violently as it continued its precarious descent, each moment stretching longer than the last. Captain Emily Carter's hands moved with precision, her eyes scanning every instrument on the dashboard while simultaneously watching the sky ahead. The F-22 fighter jets above provided guidance, their sharp movements and quick radio updates offering a lifeline amid the chaos. Emily's mind was a whirlwind of calculations, every detail about the failing engine, altitude, speed, and wind currents running through her with lightning speed. Her co-pilot, Mark Dawson, remained at her side, mirroring her focus, adjusting controls exactly as she directed, and keeping an eye on every warning light that flickered ominously. The passengers, unaware of the full extent of the danger, could feel the plane's instability. Some gripped their armrests tightly, hearts racing, while others whispered silent prayers or closed their eyes, hoping for a miracle. Emily's voice cut through the tension, calm, steady, and authoritative. "Keep calm, we are in control, follow all instructions. Help is here." Her words reassured them, though they couldn't see the calculated precision and split-second decisions keeping them alive. She knew that panic could spread faster than any engine failure, and maintaining confidence in the cabin was as important as controlling the aircraft itself. The failing engine had forced the plane into an awkward tilt, pulling slightly to the left, while the remaining engine strained to maintain altitude. Emily adjusted the throttle with gentle but firm movements, countering the pull and keeping the plane as level as possible. Every movement had to be exact. One wrong adjustment could spin the aircraft, sending it into a dangerous spiral. The plane groaned under the stress, metallic sounds echoing in the cockpit, but Emily's unwavering concentration held it together. Above, the F-22s were coordinating with her, relaying information about obstacles, wind currents, and optimal flight paths. Emily listened intently, translating their technical guidance into precise adjustments on her own controls. She felt a mix of relief and responsibility. The elite jets above were capable of extraordinary maneuvers, but she was the one holding the lives of everyone on board in her hands. It was a delicate balance of teamwork and leadership, of relying on support while trusting her own skills implicitly. Mark read out instruments aloud, his calm voice a perfect counterpoint to Emily's quick adjustments. Altitude stable for now, airspeed slightly dropping. We need 5 more degrees on the rudder to counter the left tilt. Emily nodded, her hands moving almost automatically. Every decision had been drilled countless times in simulations, but this was real, and the stakes were higher than anything she had faced before. She didn't allow fear to creep in. Instead, she transformed every ounce of anxiety into focus and determination. The passengers could feel the turbulence intensifying as the plane navigated a narrow corridor between clouds and the rising landscape below. Children clung to their parents, tears welling in frightened eyes, while adults tried to maintain composure despite the obvious danger. Emily continued her calm narration, explaining simple steps to keep everyone safe. Seats upright, belts fastened, stay close to your family. We will be on the ground shortly. Her voice became a lifeline, anchoring the cabin with a sense of structure amid the chaos outside. The failing engine forced the aircraft into slower responses and uneven movements, each adjustment requiring delicate control. Emily guided the plane through subtle but critical maneuvers, banking slightly to avoid turbulence pockets while maintaining a controlled descent. Every second was a calculation. She constantly considered weight distribution, fuel levels, and the potential for sudden mechanical failure. Her mind ran dozens of scenarios simultaneously, anticipating problems before they could happen. The F-22 pilots above provided constant updates, their voices precise, professional, and calm. Wind gust at 2 o'clock, 20 knots, adjust heading by 3 degrees left. Terrain clear at 5 miles. Emily absorbed the information and acted instantly, translating their observations into micro-adjustments that kept the aircraft steady. She relied on their guidance, but the responsibility for final decisions remained hers. She was the captain, the final authority, and every life on board depended on her judgment. Inside the cabin, the crew moved quietly but efficiently. Flight attendants helped reassure passengers, checking on those who appeared panicked, explaining each minor movement of the aircraft and offering calm smiles. Emily had trained them to remain composed under pressure, and now their professionalism amplified her own ability to manage the emergency. The collaboration of the entire team was visible in every small action, each member performing their role with discipline and focus. The aircraft continued its descent toward the emergency landing zone identified earlier. The terrain below was uneven, dotted with trees and small hills, and the window for a safe landing was narrow. Emily guided the plane with steady hands, adjusting the nose slightly to compensate for the failing engine, balancing lift and drag with precision. Each movement required her full attention, as even a minor miscalculation could lead to catastrophe. She trusted her instincts, honed over years of training, but she also relied on continuous calculations, ensuring that every decision was backed by reason and experience. The passengers were beginning to notice the intensity of the situation. Some looked at the emergency exit signs with apprehension, others clutched hands or whispered encouragements to their neighbors. Emily's calm, clear instructions continued to reassure them. She spoke not only with authority but with empathy, understanding that fear could make people act unpredictably. By maintaining a composed demeanor, she prevented panic from taking over, allowing every passenger to focus on following directions and remaining as safe as possible. Above, the fighter jets adjusted their formation, providing aerial guidance and monitoring potential hazards. One of the pilots reported, "Clear path ahead, maintain current heading, altitude stable." "You're doing excellent." Emily acknowledged the communication with a brief, steady response, integrating the advice into her next series of maneuvers. The planes above were more than support. They were partners in survival, allowing her to focus on piloting the damaged aircraft with precision. As the plane approached the final stretch before landing, Emily began preparing for descent maneuvers that would allow the landing gear to engage safely, while minimizing stress on the damaged engine. The aircraft groaned under the strain, but she remained composed, adjusting thrust, flaps, and rudder in a careful ballet of calculated moves. Every movement was critical. She balanced speed, angle, and stability while keeping the aircraft on a path toward the safest possible touchdown. Mark assisted by reading instruments and confirming adjustments. Gear systems nominal, flaps responding. Speed slightly higher than ideal, reduce throttle gradually. Emily executed each command with perfect timing, coordinating with the fighter jets above for final guidance. The tension in the cockpit was immense, yet her focus remained unshaken. She knew that the smallest lapse could endanger the lives she had worked so hard to protect. Passengers felt each subtle movement of the plane, sensing both danger and the calm authority of their captain. Some whispered prayers, others held hands tightly, but Emily's voice continued to cut through their fear. "Almost there. Stay calm. We are going to land safely. Trust us." Her words were more than instructions. They were reassurance, hope, and a reminder that every action was controlled, deliberate, and meant to protect them. The aircraft descended lower, approaching the emergency landing zone. Trees and uneven terrain came into view, creating a tense and narrow corridor for maneuvering. Emily adjusted the aircraft's angle slightly, banking with precision to avoid obstacles while maintaining a controlled descent. Her mind calculated every detail: altitude, speed, remaining thrust, wind direction, while her hands executed movements with absolute accuracy. The plane groaned and shuddered, yet she remained the calm center of control, guiding it with unwavering focus. The F-22 pilots above relayed crucial last-minute adjustments, alerting Emily to minor obstacles and ensuring that no unexpected hazards would interfere. Emily followed their guidance while relying on her own judgment, blending experience, instinct, and support into a flawless sequence of maneuvers. The aircraft's descent was slow but steady, and she knew that every second counted as they approached the ground. In the cabin, tension was palpable, yet Emily's calm demeanor continued to influence both crew and passengers. Flight attendants offered quiet reassurance, explaining the importance of bracing positions and proper posture for landing. Emily's leadership extended beyond flying. It encompassed every aspect of the emergency, from navigation to human psychology, ensuring that everyone was as prepared as possible. Finally, the landing site came fully into view. A clear stretch of terrain, carefully chosen, awaited the aircraft. Emily guided the plane with the same precision she had shown throughout the descent, adjusting throttle, flaps, and rudder in perfect harmony. The aircraft descended gently, touching the ground with controlled force, the landing gear absorbing the impact as the engines strained to maintain balance. Emily kept the plane steady, managing every bounce, every minor adjustment, until it came to a complete, safe stop. Relief swept through the cabin. Passengers exhaled, tears of fear and relief mixing as they realized that they had survived. Emily maintained her calm authority until every passenger and crew member were safe and accounted for. The F-22 pilots remained nearby, ensuring the area was secure and confirming the successful landing. Emily's focus had never wavered, and her skill and leadership had guided them all through one of the most dangerous situations imaginable. The plane had finally come to a complete stop, its wheels resting on the emergency landing strip that had been carefully chosen in advance. The hum of the remaining engine was still audible, a faint reminder of the ordeal the aircraft had endured. Captain Emily Carter exhaled deeply, her hands slowly leaving the controls as she took a brief moment to assess the situation. The tension in the cockpit began to lift slightly, but she remained vigilant. There was still work to be done before anyone could consider themselves truly safe. Mark Dawson, her co-pilot, mirrored her relief but remained alert, scanning instruments and ensuring that nothing had gone unnoticed. The aircraft was stable, the immediate danger over, but Emily knew that emergencies were never completely finished until every passenger, crew member, and piece of equipment had been accounted for. She continued to coordinate with the F-22 pilots, who circled above, confirming that the surrounding airspace remained secure and that no unexpected hazards would interfere with the emergency situation. Their presence was a silent testament to the extraordinary coordination that had helped bring the plane safely down. Inside the cabin, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. Passengers who had been clinging to their seats moments ago were now cautiously standing, some holding hands, others embracing their loved ones. Tears of relief and gratitude streaked faces as the realization sank in. They had survived an incident that could have ended in disaster. Flight attendants moved through the cabin, checking on everyone, offering water, reassurance, and calm instructions. Emily had always emphasized teamwork and composure to her crew, and now their training paid off in the most tangible way possible. Emily spoke softly over the intercom, her voice calm but full of warmth. Everyone has done exceptionally well. Please remain seated for a few more moments as we complete final checks and prepare to disembark. Your safety is our priority. Her words were simple, yet they carried the weight of reassurance. The passengers, still shaken, found comfort in her calm authority. She had guided them through chaos with a skill and presence that inspired trust, and that trust now reinforced their sense of relief. Once the passengers were stabilized, Emily conducted a full systems check of the aircraft. Instruments were carefully monitored, confirming that the emergency landing had not caused further mechanical issues. Fuel levels were sufficient to maintain the aircraft until ground crews arrived, and all warning indicators were reviewed to ensure nothing had been overlooked. Every precaution was necessary. Her professionalism would not allow for oversight, no matter how exhausted she might have felt. Mark assisted throughout, double-checking every reading and maintaining communication with external authorities. Their teamwork, seamless throughout the emergency, continued even as the immediate crisis had passed. As ground crews arrived at the emergency landing site, Emily coordinated with them to ensure a safe disembarkation. Passengers were guided down carefully, each step monitored to avoid additional accidents or injuries. Children were led by flight attendants, parents assisted where necessary, and elderly passengers received additional help. Emily observed quietly, ensuring that her calm leadership extended beyond the cockpit into every aspect of the post-landing procedure. The teamwork she had cultivated with her crew had paid off not just in flight, but in safety, reassurance, and smooth operations on the ground. Emergency personnel expressed admiration for Emily's actions, noting the precision and composure she had exhibited during one of the most challenging scenarios imaginable. Yet she remained modest, downplaying her role while highlighting the collaboration of her crew and the support of the F-22 pilots. Leadership, she understood, was not about personal recognition, but about ensuring the safety and well-being of everyone under your care. Her humility, combined with her undeniable skill, earned her both respect and admiration from colleagues, passengers, and observers alike. News of the incident spread rapidly, drawing attention not only to the extraordinary emergency landing, but also to the remarkable presence of mind displayed by Emily. Aviation experts praised her ability to integrate real-time guidance from the fighter jets, demonstrating a rare combination of technical skill, leadership, and courage. Military officials emphasized how her call sign had triggered the rapid response of the F-22 pilots, highlighting a level of coordination that was unusual even in highly trained operations. Emily's actions became a case study in composure under pressure, inspiring both aspiring pilots and seasoned veterans. In the following days, Emily returned to her normal duties, though her life had been quietly transformed by the events of that day. She received commendations from her squadron and national authorities, but she remained focused on the lessons the incident had taught her. Preparation, quick thinking, and calm leadership had been the keys to survival, and she understood that these qualities were the foundation of her profession. She continued to train, to mentor younger pilots, and to share her experiences, emphasizing that courage was not about fearlessness but about discipline, knowledge, and the ability to act decisively under pressure. For the passengers, the memory of that day lingered as a profound reminder of the fragility and value of life. Many reached out to express gratitude, recounting how Emily's calm voice and precise instructions had helped them endure moments of fear that might otherwise have overwhelmed them. Stories circulated of her reassuring presence, her attention to detail, and her unwavering determination to keep everyone safe. In their eyes, Emily was more than a pilot. She was a guardian, a figure whose skill and courage had made the difference between catastrophe and survival. The F-22 pilots, too, reflected on the extraordinary situation. Their standard procedures rarely required intervention of this kind, yet Emily's decision to broadcast her call sign had allowed them to act, to provide assistance that was both timely and critical. The coordination between the transport aircraft and the fighter jets became an example of how communication, trust, and professionalism could overcome even the most challenging circumstances. Emily's quick thinking had not only saved lives, but had strengthened the understanding of how different branches of aviation could collaborate effectively during emergencies. As weeks passed, Emily's story inspired others in both civilian and military aviation. Training programs incorporated her experiences into simulations, using the incident as a real-world example of composure, decision-making, and crisis management. Students and professionals studied her actions, learning how to maintain calm under pressure, how to communicate effectively during emergencies, and how to leverage support systems to ensure safety. Emily's influence extended far beyond the immediate passengers she had saved, shaping practices and training for countless others. Despite the public recognition, Emily remained humble. She continued to focus on her work, ensuring that every mission was conducted with the same diligence, care, and precision she had demonstrated during the emergency landing. Her humility was matched by a deep sense of responsibility, a recognition that every flight carried lives in her hands, and that excellence in her profession was measured not by accolades, but by the trust and safety of those she served. In her personal reflections, Emily acknowledged that the day had tested not only her skills, but also her character. Courage, she realized, was about more than bold action. It was about preparation, patience, and the ability to remain calm while guiding others through fear and uncertainty. The incident reinforced her belief in teamwork, communication, and leadership, and it became a defining moment in her life and career. She had faced a challenge that few could imagine, and through discipline, knowledge, and presence of mind, she had turned potential disaster into triumph. For the crew, the experience reinforced their own training and confidence. They had witnessed firsthand the power of calm leadership and precise coordination. Emily's guidance had not only ensured their safety, but had also strengthened their own abilities to respond effectively in future emergencies. Each member of the team carried forward the lessons learned that day, knowing that preparation, trust, and clear communication could overcome even the most dire circumstances. The passengers, once safely returned to their destinations, continued to share their stories. Families recounted the fear they had felt, followed by relief and gratitude, emphasizing Emily's calm and reassuring presence. Her ability to maintain composure under pressure had inspired them, leaving an impression that would last a lifetime. Through their words and memories, the impact of her actions extended far beyond the cockpit, touching lives in a way that few could have imagined. Emily's story also highlighted the importance of technology, training, and human skill working together. The F-22 fighter jets, the aircraft systems, and her own expertise combined to create a scenario in which lives were saved against incredible odds. It became a testament to the synergy between human decision-making and advanced technology, showing that even in extreme situations, careful preparation and precise action could prevent tragedy. In the quiet moments after the incident, Emily reflected on the extraordinary sequence of events. She thought about the passengers, the crew, the fighter pilots, and the countless hours of training that had prepared her for this moment. She understood that the outcome had been the result of a combination of factors: skill, preparation, courage, teamwork, and a willingness to act decisively when circumstances demanded it. It was a profound reminder of the responsibilities carried by those in aviation, and of the incredible difference one person could make when guided by knowledge, experience, and integrity. Ultimately, the emergency landing became more than a story of survival. It became a story of heroism, humility, and human potential. Emily Carter's actions demonstrated that even in the face of overwhelming challenges, calm determination, preparation, and leadership could save lives and inspire others. The incident left a lasting impact on everyone involved, a reminder that courage was not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it, that leadership was measured in actions, and that even ordinary individuals could achieve extraordinary feats when guided by skill, discipline, and heart. The story of that day would be remembered, retold, and studied for years to come. Passengers carried the memory of her calm voice and precise guidance. Crew members carried the lessons of coordination and composure, and aviation professionals carried the example of what could be achieved through training, teamwork, and courage. Emily herself continued her career, quietly yet profoundly influencing all who flew with her, all who trained under her guidance, and all who heard her story. In the end, her bravery, skill, and leadership had not only saved lives, but had also left a lasting legacy, showing the world the true power of calm, decisive action under pressure.